And say here on the show, don't we, that we like to be kind to each other, and we should be, particularly in these very difficult times. I don't know about you, when I look back in history, I often think, wow, how did they cope with that? How did they all manage to get back together? And it's normally through gentle acts of kindness that really set it all, off, the ball rolling once again, because human nature is a wonderful thing, isn't it, when you think about it? Nobody likes to see anyone down on their luck. I mean, you're not human if you do genuinely think that, are you? I always think when people have suffered bad times, it's really the hand that reaches out and helps them, That's the bigger factor. It's interesting, isn't it? Because even with our senior members of British monarchy, behind the scenes they do so much that we don't know about that really do help our fellow humankind. And as ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London, and as ever, thank you for joining me today. Also, thank you for all your lovely kind comments about some of the recent videos. I can also just point out that, I keep getting asked, do I charge for things here? Am I on, is it something buy me a coffee or Patreon or things like that? Absolutely no charge. I don't have any merchandise to sell. I don't want to sell anything. I just really enjoy your company. It's up to the individual if they want to do that, if that's how they wish to make their money and get you into an inclusive club, whatever. I applaud these people, their business acumen. It's wonderful. Simply just not for me. If I do write a book at some point, I would let you know, and it's up to you whether you wish to buy it or not. But the bottom line is, that's exactly how I like to run things over here. I've told you before, I'm a tight northerner, a tight Yorkshireman. Free's the best way. Out for note, as we say in the north. So I'm so glad that you appreciate that factor. It really is nice of you. Back as ever though to your breaking royal story of the day. This story to me is particularly heartwarming because when you think about it, as I've said, many people go through very tough times, and let's not forget our King Charles III has gone through incredibly tough times, not just with him, but with his family, and really this year, in the last couple of years, losing, his father, the Duke of Edinburgh, and then of course his glorious mother, our wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. Many people say, oh yes, but they were very old. It should be expected. It's never expected. It's never what you want. You hope people will just go on forever, don't you? Reading some of the comments on this channel, I can see so many people go through very difficult times, and truly my heart goes out to you. It really does, because it's difficult, but life's about ploughing on. And for those that have sadly left us, it's about, isn't it, making sure that we do them proud, we carry on in the best of our abilities. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to share this particular story with you, because as you know, recently over in 10 Downing Street we had a Prime Minister for a mere 44 days, the Right Honourable Liz Truss. Now, it wasn't the best of times for her. She really did get a lot of backlash, thrust into the spotlight, and particularly, as I said, historically making in the fact that she was the last British Prime Minister to be asked to form a government by our late and wonderful monarch of 70 years. Whichever way you look at it in the history books. Interesting to note, isn't it, as well, that I thought she dealt with all the problems that really did ensue with the state funeral with great aplomb. I thought she really represented us on the world stage in the very best of her ability. End of story for me. It's nice to know though that even though she was disposed from office in very cruel terms in many people's thoughts, that our wonderful King Charles III reached out to her with a personal note wishing her the very best for the future, and hoped that she was able to get through this rather difficult time. You see, it's not easy when you move away from such a very public sort of office like that. It's not really just about losing the job, it's about your own sense of being. And the King understood this more than anything. I thought it was a really nice gesture for him to do, because after all, she basically only got to know him very briefly in the short tenure that she was in there. But he did reach out, and he's done this many times to other people, including a TV presenter whose husband has been battling COVID very dramatically over the last couple of years. These are the stories, these are the things that the public don't get to know about, and they will say, well, what do the royals do? Well, whichever way you look at it, a letter from a royal, offering warmth, sympathy and compassion can do so much for one's self-esteem, and knowing of course that when you do see them again, you genuinely understand that they understand the plight that you're going through. So for those people that say, the British monarchy are uncompassionate, they're not quite sure what they're doing, it's these very little acts of kindness that truly set them apart from many of the rest of us. How many of us can truly say that they showed any sympathy with the battle that ensued that Prime Minister? Perhaps many were filled with glee, but it really could happen to any single one of us in any one of our jobs. And isn't it nice to know there are people like His Royal Highness King Charles III there offering beautiful compassion? As ever, I'd love to know what you think to this particular story in the comments below. Neil Shore in the very heart of London.